From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. U.S. President Donald Trump's press secretary says the deadline to slap Canada with punishing tariffs Saturday is still in play. Caroline Leavitt was asked what Canada and Mexico have done to avoid the tariff threat.
We have seen a historic level of cooperation from Mexico, but again, as far as I'm still tracking, and that was last night talking to the president directly, February 1st is still on the books.
Trump initially promised 25% across-the-board tariffs in response to his border security concerns, and Ottawa responded with a $1.3 billion border plan. Trump has since shifted to linking the tariffs threat to trade issues. An inquiry into foreign interference says the threat of foreign meddling is real, but Inquiry Commissioner Marie-Josée Hug says Canada's democratic institutions have held up against it.
Although there are a very small number of situations where foreign interference may have had some impact on the outcome of a nomination contest or the result of an election in a given riding, foreign interference did not impact the outcome of the last two general elections.
The report makes more than 24 recommendations to improve federal preparedness, foster transparency, and strengthen electoral integrity. The mother of BC teen Amanda Todd says it's a moment of justice. Her daughter's Dutch tormentor has lost his bid to scrap his Canadian sentence. Lawyers for Aidan Coban tried to argue the maximum sentence in the Dutch criminal code had already been imposed in a similar case against him in the Netherlands. Todd took her own life in October 2012 after being blackmailed and harassed online by Coban for years, starting when Todd was 12. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has officially set a provincial election in motion for February 27th, more than a year before the province's next fixed election date.
The election had been set for June 2026, but Ford says he needs a new mandate now to deal with 4 years of a Donald Trump presidency in the United States and spend tens of billions of dollars in response to tariffs. The premiers visited the lieutenant governor to dissolve provincial parliament, and writs ordering elections in all 124 of the province's ridings are to be issued tomorrow. Opposition parties have said an early election is not necessary because they would support stimulus spending, and Ford already has a mandate with a large majority government. Alison Jones, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says U.S. President Donald Trump has invited him to visit the White House next week. That would make Netanyahu the first foreign leader to visit during Trump's second term, but a letter from the White House does not specify a date for the visit. Leaders of a Japanese media company rocked by a sex scandal have held a news conference that lasted more than 10 hours. 2 of Fuji Media Holdings executives resigned during the news conference. They were taking responsibility for the scandal, not because of the length of the news conference. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, a major rift in the Vancouver Canucks dressing room might not be fixable. That's according to hockey operations president Jim Rutherford, who tells the Globe and Mail a long-rumored spat between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller has affected the entire Canucks squad. Tonight in the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens welcome the Winnipeg Jets. Later, Calgary will host league-leading Washington. In the Professional Women's Hockey League, Toronto visits defending champion Minnesota. Hockey superstar Connor McDavid says he's waited a long time to play for Team Canada on the international stage. McDavid will headline the roster at the Four Nations Face-Off next month, where he will play alongside his childhood idol Sidney Crosby.
It's incredible, as somebody who's kind of followed his career, to now be on his team and line up beside him, and it's just going to be fun.
McDavid competed in the 2016 World Cup with Team North America, a collection of players aged 23 and under. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.